Hey guys, a video for our buying a house in Japan playlist. Been pretty cool in our part of Japan recently, and one of our crew was complaining that it was a bit drafty in her room. Fair enough. That was worse than we expected. It was actually spread out. There's 4 glass doors here, and that gap was sort of spread out over the 4 doors, but that's the total gap. So that's not right. So it went to the outside doors. So 4 glass doors, the outside door where it meets the frame, and had a look in there. And it's supposed to be a spongy rubber seal that seals the end where it meets the frame. But over the last 40 or 50 years, or how long it's been there, it's turned from a spongy rubber into a dusty, flaky, dried out, dusty, flaky, dried out thing. So that's no good at all. So we know what we need. In Japan they call it schema tape. Never actually remember seeing it in the home country, but it's really common here. They use it all over the place, and we've used a lot of it around the farmhouse, some of you would have seen. So off to the home centre, a variety of schema tape made of different materials and of different sizes, different thicknesses and widths, and huge ones there. Brilliant stuff it is. Really, really good stuff for sealing. There's a fuzzy one there made of hair. We've used that before on the wooden sliding windows in the tatami room. So a good variety of them there. We decided that the one that belongs in that door is this one. So got a thicker one too. There's another job probably in the near future that will require that one, plus 2 of these. Pretty cheap too. It's like $3 or $4 for a roll of that stuff. So it's magic stuff. It solves all sorts of problems, and it is the right thing to use in this particular case too. So really cold, might have mentioned. Really cold and really windy. So probably could have done it in place there, but it's just a bit tricky to work on it. So I tried to get the doors out. Fairly common over the years. Obviously that beam across the top there is probably sagged a bit. So getting the glass doors out is always tricky. Takes a bit of fiddling. You've got to move them up down the track till you find a place where it's sort of at its widest, and sort of pull it out. There we go, got it. Off to the workshop. Now that's how cool it is outside. Chilly out there, chilly wind. So this funny heater thing that we found at the old farmhouse when we took it over, no idea what the guy used to use it for. It's got a timer on it, 5 minutes, 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So that's quite a nice thing to have in the workshop when a project like this is on. Some of you might remember too, the workshop has a wooden door and also a glass door. So in this case, glass door gives us some natural light. A little heater going there, try and sort of take the chill out of the air a bit. So look at, that's what it's become. So it's done well, probably 40 or 50 years probably. So we actually have a little box in the workshop of butchered tools. So in this case it's a screwdriver that somebody's butchered, wasn't us. And keep butchered tools in there, old tools that are no good to be used for their original purpose, and just use them for jobs like this. So in this case it's sort of a butchered screwdriver, which is just sort of perfect for this job. It's only about 10 mil that gap, and then it widens to 15 mil inside, so it's a bit narrow. So first with the screwdriver to get the rough bits out, sucking it with the vacuum cleaner, and then a wire brush, because we want to get that inside as clean as possible. And of course originally that had schema tape on it too, that's put on with double-sided tape, which has worked, has held together pretty well, and it's under positive pressure too, of course, because it's being pushed against the frame, which helps keep it in place as well. But it was well and truly in there. But now it's got that flaky, dusty stuff on top. That's not going to be good for the new tape, is it? So I had to sort of get it fairly clean. And then happened to notice too, the wheels probably hadn't been cleaned or given any attention at all for a really long time. So that sort of got a bit tight. Magic little brush, that. Wire on one side and bristles on the other. Great little tool. That again, that was in the farmhouse. Most of the tools you'll see in these jobs, most of those tools were already here when we took the place over, including this can of stuff. Watch it come out. Dodgy. That can must have been here for 20 years. Can of lubricant. And again, you know, stuff like that. He had a tractor, the old man, and that was in his tractor shed, that lubricant. It's magic stuff. So sprayed some of that on. So now we've got a nice clean surface there on the inside of that frame. Trying to get the backing tape off. So I learned from experience, don't peel the whole backing tape off for the whole 1.8 meters. Just get it started first. Otherwise you end up with it wrapped around your arm like a python. And get it started first, then slowly peel the backing tape off. Requires a bit of patience. It's magic stuff. Some of you might remember when we first got the old farmhouse, there was lots of rattly windows and there was lots of drafty windows and doors around the place, and it's just magic stuff. All the different sizes, and you can sort of measure up how much you need. Okay, in this case we needed about 1 centimetre, that total gap. So okay, 5 mil on each end, where the window, when the door meets the frame, 5 mil on each end, give us the 10 mil, and that'll take away that gap that we had. So look at that, isn't that 100% better? Like a bought one, as some people say. Good as new. Okay, so stick that back in after a bit of fiddling. That's a fly screen you can see leaning against the wall. It was sort of in the way. Also, while we took the fly screens off, went and gave them a hose as well. Bit of dust coming from the vacant space next door recently, so a bit of dust in the fly screens. Bit of fiddling to get them back in. Cleaned the runners at the bottom too, the tracks, with a vacuum cleaner. Again, a bit of dust in there, just cleaned up a bit. Bit of fiddling to get it back in. Oh, there's a bit of a seal there. Just checking that, make sure it's all lined up properly. Rubber seal, so it seals when you close the other door against it. Pulled it out, adjusted it a bit, and that's not quite right. Bit of fiddling around. Probably could have done that at 5 times speed, couldn't we? All these things take much longer than they do in the videos, you know, with the speeding up the video here and there and the editing. Here we go, push it into place. That worked, boom boom. Time to do the one at the other end. Exactly the same, repeated the process, so I took that one out. Got some double speed going now, guys, that's better, isn't it? You don't want the unskilled labour at normal pace, it's just way too slow. But there is something said for it. Jobs like this, you know, take a little bit of time and look at it and be gentle. Be gentle and think about it and be patient with it. It pays off. Only knowing that, of course, because as a younger bloke, the unskilled labourer did a lot more damage often by being a bull at a gate. Yay. So basically it repeated the process. Exactly the same thing. Went in there and removed the crumbly yucky bits and put on a nice new bit. Slid it back into place. Went inside and did up the little latches. The 4 doors there's a latch between each pair of doors. Did up the latches, sealed nicely. That room's now much cozier and not as drafty as it was, as you can imagine. So that'll be better. That'll make a happier crew member there, and also save a bit on the air conditioning bill, we would imagine. Anyway, there was that. More videos coming soon.